Good morning, coffee moaners.
Good morning, coffee and moaners. Welcome, welcome. If you're new to the channel, I don't usually look like this. I've had an allergic reaction over the weekend.
Incredible allergic reaction.
And antihistamines are not doing anything.
And we seem to be getting orangier and orangier as we go. It's really annoying.
So those that know me well know I don't usually look like this, but I thought if you're new, you might think, oh, what's wrong with that woman?
Yeah, no, you do. You look kind of sweet, though. You sort of look like...
Vulnerable.
Yes, yes. Say it again.
Vulnerable.
You don't like that word, do you?
No.
It's all right to be vulnerable.
I know.
If you can trust someone.
For other people.
No. As long as you've got people who look after you.
So I've had a bizarre weekend with this big allergy, which I don't know about anyone else, but antihistamines are the most horrible thing. They just knock you sideways. I've just been so tired. Falling asleep every 5 minutes.
It happened straight after our live with Lee. Is the unusual aspect
of the weekend. We had a great time with Lee on the live.
Yeah.
And then this came in the house.
Yes.
Edibles.
Apparently I've been very naughty.
Right. And I did have a lot of these, so I'm wondering if that's got anything to do with it, because there is nothing quite as dangerous as these little fuckers.
Shall I explain the story?
I had 10 biscuits last night, 10, and I had to fully now I want to go again. I'm off. Why did you buy this, Mark?
Okay.
It's the worst thing you could have done.
Explain it
I can't have a jar of biscuits in the house. That's why I've never had one.
It's your mum's fault. Your mum was here, and at some point in some meal that we had in the last week, she said something along the lines of, why don't you go next door and get my biscuit jar? They'll be in the biscuit jar. And Kiki said, why can't we be one of those households that has a biscuit jar?
Yeah, and it's been terrible.
So I've got a biscuit jar.
And it's been terrible. I wonder if I've had an allergy to overeating biscuits.
MeTube says they're not even dark chocolate. Nigel Slater says you can tell a person entirely by whether they like dark chocolate biscuits or milk chocolate digestives. I said I liked milk chocolate. And really, that was the beginning of the end for me and Nigel.
I have either. I love anything. I just love biscuits. Who's that saying? I can open a packet of biscuits, 15 minutes later, they've all gone. That's me.
Chocolate hobnobs are my nemesis, says DP.
Just one after another, like that. Just like, and the kids were like, Mum. I was like, no, it's my crack.
Yeah.
It's my edible. I can't do it. I can't have cake or biscuits in the house.
Natasha, I hate dark chocolate biscuits. So do I. I hate.
What, Natasha? Even if you were desperate for something sweet, you wouldn't eat a dark chocolate biscuit.
Well, they're quite. When you dunk them in tea, hot tea, they become quite milky, don't they? Quite quickly. I took my mum some custard creams last night.
Oh God.
Ginger custard creams.
Oh God.
She looked at me like I delivered heroin. Actually, I think that's how she felt.
M&S do chocolate-covered custard creams. What?
Natasha, don't bring that into the room.
Who said that?
That's awful.
That's a disgrace.
Stuart G loves your top, Nads.
Oh, thank you. Vintage
Snoopy.
again. It's so cute, isn't it? I love Snoopy. I just love Snoopy.
Bellex says, I'm on fruit pastels at the moment, but you can nearly choke eating them.
Our fruit pastels? Packet gone in 20 seconds. Just one after another after another. I'm a binge eater.
I thought they changed their name. Starbucks.
No, they're still fruit pastels.
Anyway, welcome everyone. Welcome to Coffee Moaning. Welcome to Monday Coffee Moaning. It was a quiet day on the channel yesterday. We don't do anything on a Sunday. We last saw you causing total mayhem in the kitchen with Lee, and then Nadia's face ballooned in this fashion. And really, ever since then, we haven't got to the bottom of it, have we?
No.
Are you seeing a doctor?
Well, I rang the doctor, and the pharmacist said to me, no, the receptionist said to me, well, have you tried an antihistamine? I went, yeah, that's why I'm ringing for the doctor, because it hasn't gone down. And she said, well, what about that antihistamine? And she tried to say it.
Right.
And I thought, we're in a parallel universe here. I'm just ringing to try and make
The receptionist was diagnosing you.
She was trying. It was really funny.
How weird.
So then I said, oh, well, shall I just then go to the pharmacist? She goes, well, is it bad, your allergy? I said, well, I don't know. It's around my eyes, and my eyes seem to be closing up. So in the end, both she and I decided I would go to the pharmacist.
I think your eyes are making the screen yellow. It's really weird. I don't know what's going on. It's so strange. Anyway, guys. Itchy. So what are we talking about this morning today? We're going to be talking about the Louis Theroux podcast, in which he had Bob Vylan as a guest. He's had the sponsorship. Has he had it axed permanently? But British Airways have pulled the sponsorship. Lots of kind of controversy around him platforming or not. Bob Vylan, who you'll remember from Glastonbury, who chanted, quoting him, "Death, death to the IDF." And we're also going to be talking about the Reform politician's racist rant on Talk TV, I think, regarding the ethnic makeup of those appearing in adverts. Once again, you just sort of, it beggars belief. I'm not racist, but so we're going to talk a little bit about reform. We're also going to touch, as usual, probably spinning out of the Louis Theroux story into Gaza as well.
I've also got a video of just how much Nigel Farage is earning.
Yes.
I mean, you wouldn't want Nigel Farage to be your MP if you're in Clacton, because he's got so many other jobs, hasn't he?
I don't know. I think he's been to Clacton, has he? I mean, anyway, so Led by Donkeys have posted something very
which would give you a little insight into how he might play the game if he were ever Prime Minister. Because we've got quite a good example of that going on at the moment, haven't we, over in America?
Yes. Oh, yes. What, turning everything into a money-making venture?
For oneself and one's family.
Yeah. See a doctor. Don't be silly, Mark, says Linda Stevenson. I wasn't being silly.
Oh, my God, I love Linda Stevenson. This is the first person on this channel that's told him to stop being silly.
What the fuck? I mean, I'll end up not being me. I mean, Christ almighty. Nadia, you must not let GP receptionist block you from seeing the doctor, says Oral Roberts.
It wasn't really that she blocked me. She just seemed to be perplexed. I know our doctors are great.
You know what she was doing? She was doc blocking.
Doc blocking.
Jesus.
That is clever.
It's exhausting, the fact that my brain just spins these out automatically.
My problem is now I've got up this morning and I haven't had an antihistamine because I've got to go to I want to go to the pharmacy to ask for a different one, because obviously I had to get it on a Sunday, so I couldn't speak to a pharmacist. And then I won't be allowed to take one today because I'll have already taken one.
Right.
So by the time we get to the end of this, I might not have any eyes open.
Can I ask, what is antihistamine?
It antis your histamine.
What is histamine?
Histamine is the thing that rises up in your body.
You don't hear people talk about it other than when they say take antihistamine.
Well,
I've never heard anyone say, fucking hell, my histamine's all over the place.
Yes, but you don't know. Your histamine could be going crazy. So you get something and your histamine.
Yeah, but pause with me on this for a moment. Does anyone else think that the antihistamine in any medical box has a sort of aura around it?
Yes.
It's like, don't go to the antihistamine. It does weird shit.
But is there anyone here that does actually know what histamine is?
Please tell us what histamine is.
People go on lower your histamine diets because you can
thanks,
have high
May
histamine.
Edmondson. That's very sweet of you. Thank you.
Oh, sweetie.
Could be a reaction to pillows, Nadia. Check your detergent. It's very sudden, though, isn't it?
I don't often clean my pillows.
Oh, Nats.
Well, I don't. I'm going to be honest.
Do you think you're a dribbler?
They say antihistamine for long COVID, do they?
You can take more than one a day, sister. Oh, look at this expert knowledge on antihistamines. You can take more than one a day of the 1 day to counteract the allergic reaction, be told by hospital, and Des when had a severe reaction. So who's Des?
Doc,
sorry. Could be something, Victoria Moore, as simple as reaction to a viral thing. I think it's Lee. I get it even when just cold or run down. Last time it happened was when I was moving houses.
Didn't she, for no reason?
She did, didn't she?
And then she said,
she eventually,
after a few days, she had like this running down, I won't say the word PUS, running down her face, which I feel like thank you for saying the word when I wasn't going to say the word. It's a horrible word.
Look at me. Oh, baby. What are those dogs with the faces that bunch up?
Bullseye.
No,
Mastiff.
Oh, sweetheart. Oh, sweetheart, when you look at me, you know the little dogs, there's one in the park regularly, all its skin folds forward.
Yes, I know those. Yeah,
you look like that.
French Mastiff or something.
I don't know. Apparently it's good for PMDD antihistamines.
Really?
Maybe you've become allergic to me, says Dawny Harvey. Maybe, who knows?
Oh, antihistamines
Here we go,
are medication.
Thank you.
That block the effects of histamine, a chemical that your body releases during an allergic reaction that causes symptoms like sneezing, itching, runny nose, and watery eyes. Thank you.
And is it bad to why is it bad to take too much? Sorry, guys who've just come for the news. This is a moment in our life, really, and it's really odd every time I look at you. I keep wanting to go, here boy. If you take too much antihistamine, does it collapse the liver?
Darling, we're asking questions we can't possibly know, and these are doctors' questions. So come on, get
on
with the news.
But people seem to know everything. There is something about your histamine response, says ST3 Fanny 33. Sorry, it's not how you pronounce it. There's something about your histamine response and perimenopause. I think you've done something with your balance eating all those bickies.
The biggies came after.
The biggies came
This
after.
started on Saturday. I woke up with this Saturday morning.
Yeah. Yes, you will, Nanny Bluebell, once we've got our act together. Do not worry. Get a 5-year badge. We have them. We just life has just got in the way. Classic ADHDers, but you will. So Louis Theroux, Bob Vylan podcast, sponsorship axed. What is this story? So this story is, let me just find my headlines here. So let me just remove that comment. British Airways pulls Louis Theroux deal after Bob Vylan podcast. The airline says it's paused its sponsorship, saying the interview breached its policy on politically sensitive or controversial subjects. And all the papers are reporting this. Obviously, some of the right-wing papers are kind of really relishing it. And I just want to ask what we all think about this.
Well, first of all, I think it's a very odd requirement for BBC when you've got Louis Theroux, who is the most...
Is it a BBC? I don't think it's a BBC podcast, is it?
No, who is my absolute most favourite and always has been, you'd vouch for that,
yes,
my interviewer.
Yes.
I just adore him. His method for getting people to reveal themselves, which is to just put out just very simple. It's very, very clever what he does. It's really smart. And it is his way. And it's what we know and love him for. And he's great at having sensitive conversations. That's his superpower, is having. I mean, when you think back of all the shows that we watched over the years with Louis Theroux, the white supremacist one, the settlers first one and the second one, the wife swapping one. I mean, just everything that every interview that I've ever watched with Louis Theroux, he doesn't go in on attack. He just asks gentle questions and makes the person feel really comfortable, and then they reveal themselves.
Absolutely. But we are talking, and I just want to I'm going to be a little bit devil's advocate on this from a kind of due diligence, compliance and all that boring shit, because it is about crossing the T's and dotting the I's. And I don't know if you remember when the Gaza documentary, from the perspective of the young boy, got pulled, and I said, they should have announced right at the front that he was the son of a Hamas administrator, etc.
Yes, Hamas administrator. Thank you for saying that, the agricultural minister.
Yeah, agricultural minister.
Not a fighter.
But I just want to pause on that, because yes, he does all those things. We all know what Louis Theroux is, and we all know what Louis Theroux does so expertly and brilliantly.
So why would a sponsor want to say? I'm going to be
really honest with you. I came to Louis Theroux not for his ability to unpick and reveal political stuff. I came to him because he revealed the almost inherent lunacy of people. He did that series years ago, which I first came to him, where he just went into weird cultures and communities and met odd people. And it wasn't. I mean, everything's political.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. And I completely agree. Everything is political and everything is sensitive because, you reveal, say, for instance, a white supremacist way of thinking, I mean, you're going to offend quite a lot of people.
No, of course. But I think
it seems like a ludicrous thing to say in the first place for a sponsor.
Right, okay.
Which is by the by, because that's not really the argument.
But I think a bit of confusion is creeping into the chat here. This isn't about what he's done for the BBC. This is his podcast that is sponsored by British Airways. What he's made for the BBC doesn't fall under the purview of whether, British Airways, because someone said here they were fine sponsoring him when he was interviewing Daniela Weiss. They didn't sponsor that film.
Yes.
He makes content and he generates content under different banners.
Yes.
This isn't British Airways have pulled their support from him because of everything he talks about.
Because you don't sponsor anything for the BBC.
Specific podcast that they've obviously had a deal, within the finer details of their kind of agreement, was not to touch upon politically sensitive issues. The problem I have with this is that by the letter of the law and the letter of the contract, British Airways wouldn't be pulling out of this if they weren't legally right to.
Yes.
What I think is more interesting and perhaps more chilling,
worrying about this story. What interests us on this story?
What interests me about this story is that British Airways do say in their statement, and I've got it here, our sponsorship of the series has now been paused. The advert has been removed. We're grateful that this was brought to our attention. That's the line I'm most interested in. as the content clearly breaches our sponsorship policy in relation to politically sensitive or controversial subject matters.
Imagine having in there controversial. I mean,
well,
my God.
that in and of itself, but again, you could argue being strict, well, that's something that maybe Louis and the producers should have pushed back or renegotiated in the terms of the sponsorship, maybe, I don't know. We and our third-party media agency have processes in place to ensure these issues don't occur, and we're investigating how this happened. The line I'm most interested in is, we're grateful that this was brought to our attention, because who brought it to their attention and why? And it's hard not to think with this that British Airways, so just to be clear, I think British Airways are going by the letter of the contract. I think as soon as you invite Bob Vylan, and I hope everyone presumably knows who Bob Vylan was, Glastonbury singer, chanted the death to the IDF chant. I think we're in a really tricky situation if funding, backing and sponsorship can be encouraged to back off from supporting content that asks questions.
So scary.
Because one thing Louis Theroux wasn't doing in this was simply platforming anti-Semitism, which is the kind of accusation and suggestion coming from certain quarters. He was asking questions. So are we in a situation where potentially even us talking about Louis Theroux interviewing Bob Vylan and us about to play a clip, are we engaging in the same thing too? Because if otherwise we're in a ludicrous situation where you can't ask questions. But do you see there are two different things though? I think there's the difficulty here is someone somewhere, maybe a group, a lobby group or whatever, have notified British Airways that they feel something untoward has happened.
And I would suggest, in my opinion, these are people that are furious with the Settlers documentary.
Yes.
And for opening up to the world, because the Settlers documentary did shift the dial.
Yes,
didn't it? It really did. I had, just in my own personal life, the amount of people that came up to me, that spoke to us, it went mad on the channel as well, talking about it, and said, oh my God, I had no idea that was the situation. And so there was no pushback at the time. Do you remember? Nobody came out shouting and screaming at that, did they? Because it was
about how awful it was.
It was. We know that what they were doing is illegally, internationally illegal. Within Israel's own laws, it's illegal, and so nothing was said. But at the time, I was thinking, I wonder what we're going to see come around the corner.
Well, we said it, didn't we?
And we were waiting.
And that, now, if you say that, you could be accused of indulging in a trope. And no one's indulging in any kind of tropes, anti-Semitic tropes or anything like that. But it does feel like there is a pattern of targeting those who've been outspoken or have not even been outspoken, because I would argue Louis Theroux hasn't actually been outspoken. He's merely held a mirror up to behaviors. And in holding that mirror up, this feels like, to me, part of the inevitable punishment that was coming his way.
That's exactly what I said.
Personally,
in my opinion, that's what it feels like. I could be completely and entirely wrong. It could have been a member of staff from British Airways. You know, I mean, who can possibly know?
Well, we know who it is because the Telegraph has reported it. And the Telegraph reports that it's the same group and it's the same coterie of individuals who successfully pulled the first Gaza documentary down, led by the former head of the BBC, Danny Cohen. He's very committed to silencing everyone and everything other than the opinions of a genocidal Israeli regime. When they say anything on television, it's really odd. I mean, I would have all the time in the world for Danny Cohen and his pressure if he was equivalently calling out the same egregious, outrageous statements and comments and Islamophobia. I mean, I would have the same, I would understand that there was a balancing act there, that he was trying to find balance. But the total silence around genocidal language, propaganda, a lack of coverage, also having come from the world of the BBC and the media, not having at all aligned his name with the need for the world's media to be allowed unfettered access to Gaza, kind of contradicts his so-called qualifications for challenging everyone.
Yeah, while we're talking all the time, while we're criticising, you know, such an excellent journalist as Louis Theroux, you know, do you believe in the freedom of the press? Because as you say, Mark, have we ever heard him say one word about how we could clear up so many of these arguments that are going on about what's going on in Gaza by allowing the press in, allowing BBC News in?
Absolutely.
You know, why don't you allow them in?
Yeah.
Never a whisper about that.
No. And it's almost like
it just infuriates me that it can come so hard that way and nothing the other way. It's just
and
just
that
disgusting.
imbalance, it's like I've sat in a room with Danny personally, one-to-one, on a commissioning idea, on a program idea that we were working on at one point in development. And I would just like to sit down and just say, look, it's not about even necessarily what you're saying is right or wrong and whether your concerns are valid or not. I'm not getting into that. But there seems to be no balancing act here. You're not, if you were to just throw the dog a bone every now and then and say, fucking hell, this is outrageous that this ambassador for Israel is allowed on the BBC News repeatedly, unchallenged, spouting genocidal language. If you were to call that out just every now and then, then it would be less jaundiced and less tilted in one direction. Now, of course, I know his argument. I think he works for an organization that is dedicated to the eradication of anti-Semitism. Well, we're all dedicated to the eradication of anti-Semitism. But I would argue that it doesn't take a genius to look at the propaganda that has come out of Israel and say that a lot of that propaganda has itself fueled anti-Semitism too. And it's a much more nuanced and complicated conversation rather than just going, look what Louis done, now go and punish him.
I think we made a mistake. Louis Theroux is an absolute, we love him in this country. We love him. He's an icon, Louis Theroux. What are you doing? It just, again, it just makes the whole thing look silly. That's what it does. We have got thousands of videos across the world of the most terrible, just absolutely, no human should have to see what we've seen, what we've witnessed that's been going on in the last 2 years. Really? Really? Do you think that this is going to distract us from that, from the realities of what's gone on? I just think it makes a mockery out of everything. It really does.
And we had huge debates at the time when Glastonbury happened, because it all goes back to the idea that his chant in and of itself was anti-Semitic. And I just want to show, I'm going to play you 2 clips. The first clip I'm going to play you is the clip that the Daily Telegraph, an advocate for Israel and the Israeli regime and its policy in Gaza. The first clip I'm going to show you is what the Telegraph showed or added to its article. It's very brief, and let me just show you what they include in their article.
Again tomorrow, twice on Sundays. I'm not regretful of it at all.
Okay, so that's it.
That's all they show.
That's all the Telegraph shows. I'm going to show you a slightly longer clip that's on Louis Theroux's Instagram.
IDF does not rhyme. It wouldn't have caught on, would it?
What does it mean?
What does it mean?
Just to the IDF, yeah.
You tell me what you think it means.
I was talking to the team about this. Like, I don't think there's any chant that starts with death to that I'd be especially comfortable with. Even like
death to capitalism.
Death to capitalism, death to paedophiles, death to Nazis, death to... someone who opposes the death penalty, I suppose, death to the death penalty. It's kind of paradox. But you know what I mean? Like, it just is.
All right, let's take that.
You know what I mean?
That. Death to the death penalty. What's it mean?
So I think that the construction you'd put on it is that it means an end to, but obviously...
An end to?
Yeah.
An end to the oppression that Palestinian people are facing, an end to the apartheid regime that has been created. An end to that. End, the IDF does not rhyme. Wouldn't have caught on, would it?
Now, I just want to pause everyone there. What you've got there is incredibly strong pushback against, in a sense, and questioning the use of the term.
Down with. Death to is like down with.
Yeah, no, but forgetting even what death to, let's just park that to the side. I love what no one is talking about in this coverage is that he's actually brought an enormous amount of balance to the conversation. He's not sitting there saying it's the right thing to say, Louis Theroux. He asks a question that's actually really tricky for Bob Vylan to even answer. I think Bob Vylan went very public and has talked an enormous amount about how he was talking about death to an idea, death to an oppression, death to a genocide. And I think Louis Theroux speaks to a truth in this, which is there's a discomfort in saying death to anything.
Yeah.
You would not think that Louis had taken that nuanced approach to it if you read the mainstream media. All you read is from the likes of Danny Cohen and all these various groups that are kind of, going mad about it, is he's platformed anti-Semitism, whereas actually he's having quite an interesting conversation and pushback. You don't ignore things. This is freedom of speech.
And that's the word. It's nuanced. It's nuanced. And that's the way that Louis has always spoken to it. That's why his conversations are just genius.
Yeah.
It's little flicks and little moments and the way that he crafts a conversation He's a maestro with it. And these idiots that just take an axe to the whole thing. And like you say, look at that. They just showed that other clip. Where was that? On the Telegraph?
That was the Telegraph. They just showed the bit where he said he'd say it again and he'd say it twice on a Sunday.
Wow.
But they don't show you the fact that actually the guy interviewing the guy saying that is actually kind of asking him a really difficult question about whether using the word death in any context is the right word to use. And I would argue that's a good question to ask. I was outraged by the response to Bob Vylan. This is music. Music is about opposition and strong language, and he wasn't literally asking for the death of anyone. But if you want to get into the nitty gritty of whether it was the right thing, the wrong thing, it was a bit of a mistake, it was a bit over the top, it was a bit too much. It gifts these groups that are now let's not beat around the bush. Statements like that can run the risk of gifting, like the boy in Cambridge who said death to the Zios, put them underground. I talked about it over the weekend. My head was in my hands when I saw him chanting that. It doesn't help the cause.
No.
One has to, on both, if we're asking for it from Israel, we have to engage in it in ourselves. If we slip into a radical, irrational fury and anger, not you can feel that, but if you then call for violence from it, you have to be careful about the words you use and the way you go about it. And I think what Louis Theroux was doing there was a very important journalistic pushback. And it's absolutely right that Bob Vylan has the freedom to say what he said in the first place, but also the freedom to push back and answer it. Yeah. It's just, and this is not to do with the BBC. This is not a BBC film. This is his podcast.
But this is the anger. This is where the anger's come from, isn't it? We wanted this to just be what we sold you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And what we've done here is just like, brushed off the dust a bit and had a bit of a look. Where did this come from? What was that? Which would have been a great way actually for the journalist right at the beginning to look at it, to have looked at it. But there's neither the will, the curiosity, the intelligence to do that, to be quite frank. It's just, let's just get a big fat headline out there. Let's cause more division. Yeah. Let's rule by dividing. And now they're very, very cross with Mr. Theroux because just starts it all up again, and people might actually look into this and not actually have the amount of hate and rage that they had.
And also the other thing I would also like to say for Bob Vylan, the other thing that this slapping down of Louis Theroux, the homing in of platforming and saying it shouldn't happen, what you get from the interview, from a longer clip than the Telegraph gives you, is a very considered, a very articulate, a very impassioned punk style musician, like, let's think of Kneecap, who use their methodology in a rock and roll situation to get a message across. He's articulate, he's sensitive, he's emotional, he's three-dimensional, he's talking about capitalism, he's talking about ideas. These groups, Lawyers for Israel, all these groups that are, and Danny, all these groups, they can't get on board with intellectual conversation, because if you do, within a nanosecond, you hit the buffers when it comes to the Israeli aggression in Gaza. Yeah. I read a meme somewhere yesterday that was beautiful. It said, when you wake up, if you wake up supporting Israel, every morning you're having to negotiate numerous different intellectual ways to justify some of the most egregious acts of violence in the world. It must be really exhausting. So what do? Try and silence people.
You get loads of energy behind these sorts of details. It's...
And again, it's just showing you how
it's exhausting.
The right-wing media just show those little individual clips. It's a little bit like when Nads went to that, when you were on the red carpet with ceasefire on your hands, suddenly the Daily Mail, Hamas slogan. Ceasefire's a Hamas slogan?
Yeah, that was the first. Yeah. They were
Hang on, Donald Trump's saying ceasefire all the time. Since when did it not become a Hamas slogan?
Yeah. Anywho.
Okay. I just
Leave
want
our
to,
Louis alone. That's
yeah,
what I would
leave
say.
our Louis alone. Should we move over to, should we have a lighter moment? Well, it's a lighter moment, but it's a bit embarrassing. This is Donald Trump landing in Malaysia, and then we'll go to reform. Did you want to read something?
Just there's quite a few.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Only one view is allowed, DP. Yet fake Israeli football fans, Fiona Hennessy, a platform by Sky and no one blinks an eye. Danny Cohen and other Zionists are allowed to spout lies daily and must not be questioned.
Must not be questioned.
They don't want to understand, says Mark 40N. They just want to silence his voice, and he knew this would happen, but this was the way he would be heard. We can't have nuanced conversations, says Mel, because the media only reports on the soundbites. And Zach Polanski is so good on that. Yeah, it's so true. The whole interview was not entirely about Israel. It was colonialism, Mark Holderness, thank you, race, media power. So to label the whole interview anti-Semitic was over the top. Entirely ridiculous. Entirely agree. You can't be punk rock and tone down language. I mean, look, let's not forget the Sex Pistols were screaming about, wasn't it like kill the Queen and piss on and shit on? I mean, it was all about really sacrilegious language, imagery, songs about religiosity, about the monarchy and being British and all that. You know.
Yeah, but the world's very different now, isn't it? All these people screaming about freedom of speech. I mean, look at Trump. Look at what he ran on. You know, freedom of speech, and what's he done? He's got in and he's just clamped down in a way that we never imagined we would see would happen in America, and that's why we have to be so careful here because we're well on our way. To the same sort of
well, it's a complete hypocrisy of freedom of speech. But what I would say on that is that on the left or on the progressive side, you also have to be able to tolerate. And I think that's something we're going to talk about in a minute, actually, around the reform woman saying what she said. I think, you know, you can't pick and choose freedom of speech. You either have it or you don't have it. You can't say
only free with something I agree with.
Yeah, exactly.
Freedom of speech.
Farida says the buffers are on all sides now. Whether you say a word like death, remain silent, holding a placard, go march and boycott, it's all too much for them.
Very well put.
Very well put. Yeah.
What they want is for us to just be very quiet behind our own front doors and sit down and shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. We have free speech, says Michu. We have a BBC problem. Well, yeah, I mean, okay, I just want to show you this because it's just cringe. This is Donald Trump in Malaysia. He's dancing in front of those Malaysians who are dancing.
Oh no, I saw a better shot of that. Was right behind him, and he was going.
He was really doing it. He was really grooving,
and he was going. I thought he was really cool and sexy.
Does anyone else notice with Trump that there's a little bit of a kind of skip in his step because he thinks he solved another war? He really thinks his peace plan is.
It's not even that. He's solved another way to get more billions into the family account.
It's astonishing.
That's what it is.
Jared Kushner.
Jared
interviews we did last week. The clips we showed. 2-year plan.
Oh my God, he is so chilling.
Did you hear the clip yesterday
like
where they played his historic clip where he talks about the seafront properties?
Yeah, it's so chilling. It's really, and his face is so impassive, isn't it?
So impassive.
He looks so cruel because he speaks so softly and with that, you know, and just so benignly.
Yes.
But the cruelty underneath it, gives me the shivers.
Okay, I'm going to show you a clip, which is the clip of this woman. This is the big headline. This was all over the radio in a big way yesterday. Reform MP Sarah Pochin. Adverts, well, I'll play you the clip. She's come under fire, understandably. I'm not a racist, but she said this whilst being interviewed on, I think it was Talk TV.
Drives me mad when I see adverts full of black people, full of Asian people, full of, you know, people that basically are anything.
What's wrong with that, Sarah? What's wrong with that?
Well, it doesn't reflect our society, and I feel that you know, your average white person, average white family is like, I agree with you, Stuart, not represented anymore in TV.
There are lots of white people on television, Sarah, are there not? There are lots of white people. There are lots of white men. There are lots of white women.
we're talking about adverts, and how many times do you look at a TV advert and you think there's not a single white person on it? And actually it is. It's something that's happened because, I believe, of the woke liberality that goes on inside, this sort of like in the arty-farty world. And actually, you know what, people, I'm hearing this more and more, people notice and people will switch off.
Yes. This is so like America again, isn't it? The DEI thing, it's so scary because, of course, what she's saying is totally ridiculous. Absolutely 99% of ads are white families and white people. What actually is she talking about when she says there aren't any adverts anymore? I mean, you know what? And the mixture doesn't reflect British society anymore. Well, yeah, it does. It absolutely does, because we are a diverse. Now, she went on later, didn't she, to say it may be the case within the M25, but not beyond.
Yes.
But and she's right there. I mean, I can't believe it when I go to Glasgow, for instance, and I just only see white faces. But still, what percentage of ads actually are with black or brown people? I don't know, 2%.
Well, 2%? Actually,
I can't even think of a single ad.
I couldn't find the reports this morning, but they had them on LBC yesterday, and they were saying that there is a higher proportion of ethnic minorities. And I'll just pause just for a second. I'm just going to say this, and then I'll just quickly say what I think about the whole thing. There's a higher proportion of ethnic minority or people of color that appear within adverts than they do on ordinary television in terms of the content, in terms of the dramas, in terms of the why does it matter? Why does any of this matter?
Well, that's what I was going to say afterwards. But first of all, just the facts are wrong, because it's not wrong. We're not overwhelmed with adverts where there's no white people.
Yes,
it's ridiculous. And what are adverts for? Adverts. Why do advertisers put out adverts? Why do we think? Because they want to sell to the various different demographics. Right, so they are going to be, that is going to be proportioned. They ain't doing it just out of the goodness of their heart. They go, right, okay, right, in that area. No, they want everyone to buy from them. And we are a multicultural society. That's the problem. That's what you don't like. You want only white faces.
Coral Roberts, thank you. TV is white in the UK. There are no programs that cater for the black community. I mean, there is nothing. I'm going to say something quite contentious. I seem to remember seeing more. I feel like I saw more people of color and ethnicity when I was growing up than I do necessarily now. I mean,
I remember when I went to America when I was about 16, 17, and walked into the supermarket, and there were black faces on the cereal boxes, and I was so shocked.
Right.
Because I realized
that we just didn't have it.
That we didn't have that. And I thought, God, how awful is that we don't have any, but I'd never, of course I would have noticed if I was black. You would notice that, you would feel that, wouldn't you? But I just never noticed.
What can I
but
just
still now you wouldn't see a Muslim.
No.
You wouldn't see anyone with a hijab. You don't see, very, very rarely, very, very rarely on anything, I would say. And then they have to be almost white looking, don't they?
Yeah.
I
mean, but the bigger question here is, in a weird way, is I don't understand what sort of person would watch an advert and actually be aggrieved by any of the ethnicity.
Person.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, are you pretending that you don't live in a multicultural society? You do.
No, that's not the point. They know very well they live in a multicultural society and they hate it. Because they don't want
No. I mean, I'm being rhetorical.
No, I know.
My point is that you can't pretend it's not racist. This is the most extraordinary.
No.
You're not saying I'm not racist, but you're basically saying I'm racist.
Yeah, you cannot have that thought and not be racist.
I think what
they don't understand the meaning of the word.
Yes, I think what she's trying to step towards is the idea that's often talked about and is considered by companies and organizations of, if one engages in what's it called, positive discrimination, where you kind of over-represent and you over-push one thing or the other, does that necessarily benefit everyone involved? Is it about, it's about optics, it's about seeing people, it's about, I think what she's trying to say is we've gone too politically correct.
Which is exactly the playbook again from America. But why can you go too politically correct?
But you can't pretend it's not racist, because it is.
It is.
And I think one of the weirdest parts about being British, when people say, what is Britishness? For me, the best thing about being British, or I thought, and again, this is partly dictated by living in London, the lifestyle I had growing up in Ladbroke Grove and what have you, is that we have a multi-faith, multi-ethnic culture. That for me is the face of Britain. It's multi-ethnicity, it's tolerance, and in many ways we should be the kind of I hate to use the phrase flag bearer for multi-ethnicity, given our complete destruction of the planet and our empire. You know, we pulled upon everything. The least we can do is have a multifaceted, multicolored, multi-faithed kind of nationhood.
And we need that. The country needs that.
Yeah.
We can't survive without that.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
just
insane.
all immigration is seen as like a rot within our society. It's like, get real, have a really good look at that.
And it's like the drip effect of this: migrants are the problem, foreigners is the problem.
Again, it's
Robert
just to
Jenrick
distract
going to
you.
Handsworth saying, I didn't see any white faces.
It's just to distract you from all the real problems.
But it's
in life.
bedding in. It's bedding in. We
really
are
is.
just, and I'm just going to play you quickly. Wes Streeting pushed back on this on the BBC over the weekend.
Said was a disgrace. I think it was racist, and the deafening silence from her party leader says it all. Reform is a party who think that our flag only belongs to some of us who look like me, not all of us who have built this country, built its success. And let's not forget, when we remember the service and the sacrifice with this poppy, that the people who bled and died for our democracy and our freedom weren't just my grandfather and my great-grandfather who looked like me and worshipped the same God as me. It was people from right across what was then the empire, now the Commonwealth. People who are Muslim, people who are Sikh, people who are Hindu, people who, you know, look differently than you and I do. And we should remember that, defend it, and fight for what this country stands for.
Okay.
A decent, respectful and inclusive democracy, the most successful multi-faith democracy in the world.
Okay.
We stand for that. Reform don't.
Thanks to reform, this one. Thanks to reform on my day-to-day, I face hate. I got told a while ago when I was walking, when the flags were a 60-plus man swearing at me and told me I've got no right to walk on the pavement. Or live here.
I'm so sorry.
So sorry.
It's so horrible and frightening. Really, really frightening. It's. Do you remember when we were coming back from the march the other day, and there's those guys, like, they were drunk, they were waving the flags, they were screaming and shouting. Those two girls that had hijab on, two young girls, and they were just sort of running, weren't they? I'm not sure whether those guys were even directing it at those girls, but the fear in them.
Yeah.
So I just sort of walked over to them and just looked at them and just like put my hand on their arm, because I just thought, and they just looked at me so grateful. I thought, you're terrified.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if these people have even seen you, but that's how terrified you are. Do we really want to live in a country like that?
Leicester
Do we
White
really
Monk
want that,
up
guys?
north near me, there's so many flags. You know, the other weird part of this whole debate is that it's beginning to gain traction that if Labour or someone calls reform racist, that's the insult, not the racist comment.
Well, it's interesting to see Wes Streeting speaking so strongly and clearly on that, because Will Starmer?
No. Well,
It was it Chris Phillips refused, didn't he, on telly, on
Yeah.
Laura Kingsburg, to actually say that he refused to call that racist.
Yeah.
We're in a mess.
Yeah.
We're in a mess.
We really
honestly.
are. Well, I think the other kind of hidden narrative there with Wes Streeting, he's definitely on a mission to take over from
It got
Starmer.
very uncomfortable in this room when Jane was pushing him on that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just, on this note, given that we're in the reform area, this was uploaded earlier today, this morning, minutes before we went live, by Led by Donkeys. This is a film about Nigel Farage.
My name is Susan and I live here in Clacton. Nigel Farage is my local MP.
I'm thoroughly enjoying the job.
We all pay him £94,000 a year to represent this town, but honestly, he's hardly ever here. So what is he doing with his time? Well, take a look at Parliament's Register of Members' Interests. It turns out Farage has 12 other jobs on top of being our MP. 12. Job number 1. He works for a company called Direct Bullion, a gold coin dealership based in Mayfair. Here he is shilling for them.
I've decided this is the right company to be with.
They paid Farage £280,000 since he became my MP last year. That's more than the cost of an average house in Clacton. Job number 2. Farage also works for a company called Nomad Capitalists. They advise multi-millionaires on how to avoid tax by getting second and third passports from foreign countries, and they urge people to leave the UK so they don't have to pay their taxes here. The same taxes that are needed to pay for the UK's public services like healthcare, education, welfare and pensions, not to mention local services like transport, waste collection, public order and safety. Since Farage became an MP, Nomad Capitalists has paid him £40,000. Job number 3. Farage works for an American outfit, AXED Liberty Network. He flew to their conference in Arizona to speak at a meeting of extreme faith groups and anti-abortion activists. They paid him £13,000. Another American company based in Tennessee paid him £7,400 to give a speech. And another, based in Alaska, paid him £26,000 again to make a speech. He's also a commentator for Sky News, not the one we watch here.
Nigel, lovely to see you, mate.
Farage works for Sky News Australia. Not sure what that's got to do with Clacton. They pay him £25,000 a year. Meanwhile, the front desk of the police station behind me closed this summer, our street lights are switched off at night, and our bus services are woefully inadequate. It'd be nice if Farage pulled his finger out and did something about that. Jobs 7, 8, 9. Farage has made tens of thousands of pounds posting to Google, Facebook and Elon Musk's X platform. Job number 10. The Daily Telegraph pays him £48,000 a year to write stuff like Why I Agree with Liz Truss 100%. Job number 11. Farage presents a show on GB News. He gets paid around £400,000 a year for that. And he's got a neat little trick to reduce his tax bill. You see, he diverts money from his TV show into his private company, which then means he only pays 25% corporation tax on the profits instead of 40% income tax. And finally, job number 12. My MP earns between £10,000 and £27,000 a month recording videos for fans on a site called Cameo.
Happy birthday, Hugh Janus. I've heard you're a massive fan.
He's made around 3,000 of these videos since the election. In total, his 12 extra jobs have paid him £1,182,498 since he became an MP. No other MP comes close to that. Meanwhile, he's got one of the worst voting records in Parliament. Nice work if you can get it.
Clacton.
3,000 videos.
Clacton. Hi, I hear you're a big anus.
And he doesn't even give that to charity, just back to himself.
God.
Jesus Christ.
Well, there you go, guys. That's Led by Donkeys. Go and check them out on Instagram. They're great.
They're genius. They do some really great videos.
So shall we end with the funny?
Yeah.
What's this one, Nads? I don't know.
Oh, it's very short. It's cute.
Okay, check this out.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Why is he ugly?
She just got here, buddy.
I thought that was AI.
No, I don't think so. It's an account with that little boy. I don't know. It could be.
Oh my God.
No, because
Oh my God. Why is he
there's an
ugly?
account with doing other things. Is he AI?
She just got here,
His
buddy.
eyes didn't look real.
So cute.
Yeah, look at his eyes.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Why is he ugly?
Is he not just?
She just got here, buddy.
Very cute.
Oh,
Cute,
nice
real or
little
not.
smiler.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sunday show is later today. I am 21 years sober tomorrow. We were going to do it tomorrow, but I think we might be going on a pub crawl. All right, guys.
Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of our lives. And we'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you tonight if you